Morning. It is a beautiful day. I'm just coming back from a walk and I am absolutely frozen. But I can see the sun is over our home, so when we get there, it's not going to take me long to warm up. I'm going to have tons of power today, so I can turn everything on. Sometimes feel like just turning it on for the hell of it to just use the power. Otherwise it just gets sucked up into the ether. We're going to have another day of bits and bobs. Yesterday went well. We got some good little bits done. Today is going to be another day, I think, of little bits. Whilst we wait for the micro hydro bits to arrive in the post, and the concrete's probably dry by now, but it's Friday. I don't really fancy starting a big job today, so I'd like to get to a stage where we've got all the little bits out of the way and then we can just get on with the big bits. Feeling that we've caught up a little bit on all the bits I've left. God, I can't wait to get in the sun. Cold. No, we've got all the little bits squared away. Not sure what we're going to start with this morning, but we'll go up and have a look. See if we can't make some progress. You know, I said it rains inside here. I don't know if you can see it steaming off the top of the barn, but that's why condenses on the bottom underneath here, and then the sun hits it. I don't think it's going to be that bad today because it didn't freeze last night, but that's why we have the water dripping off inside. So okay, jobs today. I'd like to, hey, you see the steam here. It's a pretty view, isn't it? I'd like to get some sheets on here because today's a nice day and the weather's not going to be so good next week, so I'm gonna get these boards on here so I can get them out, moved from outside. I've got a pile of timber over here. I'd like to get the plastic we talked about on top of that, so there's a bit of weather protection for our indoor rain. I don't think I'm going to get to that. One thing I might try and do today though, that wasn't necessarily a plan, was might try and get these doors done, because I can get 2 pieces of sheeting used for that, which means I can get them out of my pile, and we can, at the minute there's a bit of a cold wind that just sort of rips its way through there, and I think it'd be nice if we could get that sealed up a little bit. That's my pile of materials over there that I'd like to get moved inside. It's like grab the good weather whilst you can, because as you can probably tell, it's wet everywhere, so it has been raining quite a lot. So first we'll open up. I think first we'll open up, we'll get some insulation and we'll stick it in the utility room and we'll get those boards on so that I've got somewhere to place the inverters and the water pumps and all that stuff. So I think we'll do that first. Let's open these two because I've got no idea what that is. That looks interesting, if I'm honest. This, I'm hoping, is something relevant. Yes, or at least I think it is. Is it? Smaller than I thought it'd be. Okay, so this is an AC/DC rectifier, which it's important for the minute because what I want to get done is I want to get the cable run for the micro hydro. So it means I can take, so the AC alternating current from the generator, you know, the micro hydro, comes in, because it's 3-phase, comes into those three, and then from there it's DC off to the inverter, which is where the power is then converted, you know, batteries charged and all that stuff. So I wanted this because this mounts inside the utility room, and it means I can then connect the cable, get the cable length from there, take it all the way down to where the turbine's going, and we can get everything sort of, this is the starting point or the end point depending on how you look at it. So that's why I was excited to get that. It's not really, I think it was about 10 quid, but that means we've got the end point, so that's good. This is addressed to me. It's not my birthday. Oh man, worst knife ever. I chased some sheep, and my Leatherman that I've been using, my proper Leatherman, I think it fell out of my pocket and I can't find the thing because who knows where that went. So I'm using an old one that I've used in terrible places. For your hip flask, love from Mum. Please, 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 please be whiskey. If not whiskey, then just a bundle of money. Some Johnny Walker. Very nice. Thank you, Mum. That was not what I was. That was not what I was expecting. Although I had a feeling it was going to be something different because it was in a. I could tell it was a shoebox, but yeah, there we go. Rectifier, and then that can rectify me tonight. I have to climb up the top here to get the insulation for those walls I just said we're going to do. So I thought I might as well just cut this damp proof, put it on the roof while we're up there, because I'm just going to go up there anyway. So I'm going to cut this. We'll go up there and have a look, and we'll also grab the insulation while we're there. So I think, like it's kind of a nice space up here. It's built on the wonk, but they must have built this with a view of perhaps having it as a bothy type thing, because there are window holes, not holes, but see there, it's like a window shape. There's another one there. There's one just here. There's another one there. So it's quite a cool little space up here. I'm having this box. This is going to be the office, kind of within the workshop. But this bit up here, I might put some carpet down, some bean bags, put the TV up here, and some stuff to, you know, like film nights. Be kind of cool, but naturally there's some problems with it. Yeah, but so I came up here already. This beam here was snapped. Somebody looked like they'd hung something on it in the middle, and it was snapped, and it was bolted back together, but it was bolted back together like that. So I had to come up here and put some further reinforcement on here and just try and straighten it out a bit more. Whoever made it didn't really think about how they were going to fit anything under, like on top of here. They built the roof of this structure without thinking how they were actually going to get the roof on top, and presumably they weren't planning on keeping that, otherwise they wouldn't have put their new bits of 2x4 in. So that's a problem. But what I've thought is I've got the damp proof there. I'm going to just kind of run it under the joist they've done. Then I can insulate in between underneath here, and then I can put some boards on the underside. It just means you can't get an actual roof on top of it. So it's not a perfect solution, but I'm not pulling the whole thing down. And to cut the whole roof down by, I imagine they probably measured this and then thought afterwards, oh, which is why it's as it is. It'd be too much work to redo, so I'm just going to try and fix it as best I can. So we'll get this damp proof up, and then there's the insulation. So we'll just grab a bag of that, take it down, and get the 2 boards on where we said we would before. I love this stuff. It's so soft and fluffy. It just makes you wanna. No, anybody who's used this, it's horrible. So I'm doing it on a Friday because it gets all in your. It's not as bad as that glass fibre stuff, but it's still so itchy when it gets on your skin. Try and not flap it around too much so it doesn't get in and around your neck, and it's just, or in your eyes. Sometimes I find at the end of the day when I've been insulating like that, you sort of pull clumps of like fur balls from your eyes from that fibres. It's horrible stuff, but not as bad as the yellow glass fibre stuff. That's really bad. When I was chasing the sheep out the other day, I can tell the difference between them because they've got red spots on the back of some of them and some of them don't. So the 2 that got away from me didn't have red spots, and they haven't been getting in the garden, so they haven't been bugging me. So I kind of let them go. And then in the last video, you saw us plug some holes in the fence, and I saw one of the red bummed sheep get back through. But I feel a bit sorry for him because this morning all 3 of them were together, and the 2 without the red spot on the bums seems to just be kind of going off on their own, and the poor guy with the red bum is just on his own. We've got racist sheep. It's not pretty, but it'll stop it dripping inside, and it's about the only, it's because I had to drape it between the joists, like there's no flat, solid, straight surface, so that's also the maximum width of that without having a seam. And because it's not tight, I don't really want a seam because it's going to, likelihood of it leaking, like it'll run down onto the next layer, and then because it's drooping, it'll then just run back and in the room. So that's good enough. I mean, half the stuff here is temporary anyway. Right, so I'm going to put some insulation on the walls here. And what I found in the past, this one's pre-cut, is that if you're going to be putting this in a wall, like so, you're all right if it fits nice and tight, which it looks like a good number of these will fit nice and tight. But for example, let's say you were trying to do this section here or this section here, and the piece of insulation you were trying to squeeze in there wasn't the same size and it was a bit loose. I find the best thing is this spray adhesive. It's relatively inexpensive, and I just put, like, you know, the lightest spray on there, and then I just spray the back up with a tiny bit, and it just tacks it just enough that you can press it against, and it'll hold it. It won't hold it forever, but it'll just hold it whilst you get your board, and then you come and screw your board on there. So that's a really easy way of doing it. And I've done it before, where you try and squeeze it, and then you come in with your board and you kind of flap it, which means the air pushes some of this out, and you're always kind of trying to squeeze it in. So just give it a dab of that. It's contact adhesive, but this is just spray contact adhesive because it's quicker. So I find that's a really, it's a good tip. I think that'll help you out. Right, so I've got those walls insulated. The reason I'm doing the walls is because I'm putting boards on here to mount everything to. So this side we're going to have the water pump and the water filter and stuff. This side we're going to have our inverters, batteries and all that kind of stuff. I just don't want to have to pull them back off in the future to insulate the behind it, because I'm expecting, like the rest of the workshop's not being insulated. I'll do it later, all that kind of stuff. But this, when I come to insulate, if I decide to insulate it one day, I don't want to have all of the stuff mounted to the wall and then have to unscrew it all, or not insulate behind it and then end up with a big gap where we haven't insulated it. I'm aware I haven't done the ceiling. That's because I'm not boarding the ceiling. Like I said, I'm just doing the bits I'm going to board so that I can hang everything on, so I don't have to take it off in the future. I know in the previous video, well, the one that we did, the concrete, I'll see if I can show you. There's a sort of gap down here where the concrete, I poured it up to the bit of wood, and there's a hole down there. What I was doing was stuffing it with insulation. Now, I know I said with the doorway that the concrete comes all the way to the edge and there's cold bridging, and that's not the way you should do it. But really, it was quite easy for me to stuff insulation around the bottom, and it just saves cold bridging around the whole perimeter. So yeah, although I said I wasn't doing it here because there's benefits to the strength of it, actually around the sides there was already a hole, and filling it with insulation just saves it all cold bridging. So we'll go half-half. I couldn't get, or it'd be quite difficult to get the insulation stuffed in that corner behind that post, so I'm going to do that with spray foam. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I've got a bit of a bulge in here, and spray foam is temperature sensitive. So if it's really cold, this stuff sucks. Like, it doesn't expand. So if you've got a cold can of this stuff, I wouldn't advise putting it on a radiator, if I'm honest, because there's a risk of it exploding. And I've seen, horror stories of this stuff just going off and exploding everywhere. And I've had a can not explode, but I've left the end open, and like I took off a full can, and it just keeps spreading and spreading. So you don't want the risk of this exploding on your radiator inside. But if you can just warm it up a little bit, maybe leave it in the sun somewhere, you'll find that it expands far better than it would otherwise. But yeah, I'm going to spray foam just in this gap here, just so that I've got as continue. I wouldn't do this job to this standard, but I'm not sure in the future what this is going to be, you know, how much I'm considering this might be a gym in the end. It might be a second kitchen. By a second kitchen, I mean a place, commercial kitchen is the wrong way of putting it. Like a good larder. If we're growing all our own vegetables, it's good to have somewhere that you can process all that. Sometimes it's not in your house kitchen, so that things you can get it mucky. You've got somewhere that's, you know, kind of. So that might be here, which is why maybe I want this to be a good job. And I've got stuff lying around, so it's not like I do have other uses for it, but there we go, that's what we're doing. Right, well, we've got 2 boards on. I'm going to get the other boards on as well, but I promised my wife I'd get this section around here trimmed, because you remember our berry bush border that we did a couple of videos ago. I kept a handful of plants because I wondered about planting them somewhere else just to try and spread the risk in case they didn't survive. And my wife thought it might be quite a good place to put it just here, because it gets good sun most of the day, and it's you know, sort of a hedgerow edging, which seems to be a good place for berry bushes, because you don't want to take over the middle of your garden, do you? They kind of spread. So I'm going to get this bit trimmed back a bit for her, so that when she comes out with Casper, they can come and plant these. And there's a lot of stuff in here though. There's piles of rubbish there. There's a gap there that might be all right. Perhaps I'll trim that back. And I don't know what that mound is either, so yeah, we'll have a go. We'll trim it up and see what it's like. This bit was a bit more difficult to get in than I thought, so probably wasn't quite kid-friendly planting, so I just got them planted up. Got them planted up today because it's, if you're watching this at the time, you'll know it's mid-November, and want to get them in the ground before there's too much of a solid frost. So I just got them planted up, numbered the labels so I know which side is which. But yeah, it wasn't really going to be easy for Casper and my wife to get in there with all the metal. It looks like somebody just dumped stuff along there, but I wanted to get them in the ground, and it would take me a whole day to clear that out. So there we go, we've got one more day of bits and bobs. I'm going to get the sheets on the rest of that room at some point, but I think we'll have to do another video or 2 on these bits and bob jobs because there's so many of them. So there we go, that's today. If you want to come join us for more of the bits and bobs, or maybe we'll do some other videos, come join us, be nice to have you with us, and we'll see you then.